What's up? It's your boy back at it again. I'm waiting for my pizza to show up, so let's fucking do this. Chapter 3, motherfuckers, of Gamer Girl by Mari Manscusi. Here we go. Chapter 3. This one's from your father. My mother shoved the brightly colored box at me as if it were a hot potato she was anxious to be rid of. Not surprising, I guess. Since their divorce, she treated most of Dad's stuff in this manner. You should have seen the yard. You should have seen the yard. Wow. Yard sard. You should have seen the yard sale she held the day after he moved out. The shoppers were shocked to be handed expensive parting gifts as they left the brownstone, just for stopping by. Dad was pretty surprised when he came back to collect his stuff and found out it'd all been sold or given away to people who Mom said obviously needed it more. I accepted the gift from her, shaking it gently as I sat back down on Grandma's shag-carpeted living room floor, anxious to figure out what was inside the haphazardly taped-together box. Despite being born gift-wrap challenged, Dad always came through with the best presents ever. And he never cheated either, asking what I wanted before heading to the store, like some clueless grown-ups did. He just instinctively seemed to know exactly what I'd want before I knew what even existed. Before I knew that what even existed. Open it, encouraged my younger sister Emily. I have a younger sister named Emily. From her cross-legged position next to Grandma on the couch. At age 8, she had naturally curly, white blonde hair and naturally zero patience for anything that didn't directly involve her. In fact, I was pretty surprised she'd made it this long through the gift opening portion of my 16th birthday celebration. No doubt Mom had bribed her with promises of ice cream and chocolate cake for when we were through. Excuse me. For ice cream and chocolate cake, Emily would have sat through a reading of the Constitution, backward and with debates on each amendment in between. Sorry, I was checking my phone. Pizza Guy's supposed to text me when he gets here, so I'm very, very anxious. Come on, Emily shouted, sounding more annoyed this time. And don't do that thing where you slowly tear off each piece of tape to save the wrapping paper. No, Emily, there's nothing wrong with recycling the paper, Grandma scolded her. Wrapping paper doesn't just grow on trees, you know. Actually, I was pretty sure it did, at least indirectly. But there was no need to get into that kind of debate with Grandma. Mom would only get annoyed, and then we'd have to have that talk again about how lucky we were to have Grandma to stay with after we had to sell the house because of the divorce. Oh yes, so very lucky. To satisfy Emily, I made a great show of tearing through the paper, crumpling it into a ball, and throwing it at her. After dodging her return throw, I looked down at my present. I squinted at the box for a moment, then broke out into a wide smile when I recognized what it was. Fields of Fantasy, I said, reading the name emblazoned on the box. All right. My mom groaned. A video game? He sent you a video game? After I told him time and time again that you needed socks and underwear? I have plenty of underwear, Mom, I muttered, turning over the box to read the back. Not to mention that even if I were down to my last pair, I had zero desire for my father to be the one wandering through Vicky's secrets, selecting new ones. I mean, what if he got me like a thong or something? I would literally be required to die of embarrassment right then and there, and that would be the end of it. But still, a video game? Mom scowled. Well, that just goes to show you your father has never and will never grow up. He's always messing around with those computer games. Now he's recruiting you, I guess. It was about time, too, I thought, but didn't say it. I had begged Dad to let me play Fields of Fantasy since he got the game himself a year ago, but he kept insisting I wasn't old enough to join an online gaming community like this. Too many foul-mouthed, inappropriate adult players, he said. It's not the adult players, I promise you that. And wouldn't relent, even after I informed him I'd already heard every swear under the sun in high school. Finally, I hope this book ends with her saying the N-word. In true gamer fashion. Finally, he promised after weeks of my whining that once I turned 16, he'd let me play. But I figured he'd long forgotten and had no idea he'd buy me my own copy. What a great birthday present. I noticed a card had fallen from the gift. I tore it open and read Dad's note. Dear Maddie, okay, kiddo, I promised you the game, and here it is. Once you create a character, we can play together. This way, even though we don't live in the same house anymore, we can still hang out virtually when we want. Oh, that's kind of sweet. So go ahead, what are you waiting for? Install the game on your and meet me in the fields of fantasy. Love, Dad, aka Rockstar Bob. Wow, cool screen name, dude. Wow, that's so cool, I remarked, trying to peel off the sticky tape holding the box closed. I need to check this out now. Yup, once again, Dad managed to come through with the most original, most rockin' present. And what a great idea, to find a way to meet up online. He must have missed me as much as I missed him. You have 10 minutes, Mom told me. Then it's time for cake. She rose from her seat, signaling that the present opening portion of our evening had ended. Guess she really wasn't trying to trick me when she swore up and down that she hadn't bought me an iPod for my birthday or signed me up for driver's ed. Doomed to exist another year being the only sophomore alive who was still sporting a practically antique Discman. Oh wow, yeah, that is pretty rough. And there sure wasn't a new car in the driveway either. Don't get me wrong, I wasn't one of those spoiled My Super Sweet 16 kids you saw on MTV. I knew money was tight, and the last thing I wanted to do was make Mom feel bad. Are you sure? Are you sure that's the last thing you wanted to do? For not being able to provide for us. It seems like that's mostly what you've been doing this entire book is exactly that, but go off. The woman worked 2 jobs just to keep us in clothes and shoes, but at the same time, I couldn't help but feel a little resentful. After all, if she hadn't ditched Dad, there'd be plenty of money for high-end electronics. Not to mention a house we didn't have to share with Grandma. Back in my hometown, with my friends. Actually, make that my former friends. As in the ones who didn't even bother to show up for my birthday party. I'd IM'd both Caitlin and Ashley a week ago to invite them, and they swore they'd be here. But then, about a half hour before the party, I took some weed earlier, sorry. Starting to kick in a little bit. But then, about a half hour before the party, they both texted me. Caitlin couldn't get a ride. Ashley was sick. Yeah, right. How convenient. Especially when I went on Facebook and saw there was a big party at David Silverman's house tonight. Traitors. But hey, I probably would have ditched my own party for that, so I couldn't really blame them. I just wish they'd had the guts to tell me the truth. I sighed and scrambled to my feet, stepping over piles of discarded wrapping paper, pink sweaters from Old Navy that I'd never wear, the Barbie from Grandma, who failed to realize I was no longer 8, and the designer clothes for Barbie from Emily, who was 8 and obviously plotted to steal both doll and wardrobe as soon as my back was turned, and thus make even my birthday all about her. How did she know that the grandma got the Barbie doll? Anyway, after throwing out a generic thank you, I headed upstairs to my bedroom and switched on my computer, slipping the game disc into the CD drive, and started to install. Nice try, 10 minutes, you're not even going to finish installing at that time. The computer was a divorce gift from Dad. Jesus, their dad is loaded. Though Mom preferred to refer to it as a bribe, saying it was way too high-end to simply do homework on. I was glad to have it now, though. Fields of Fantasy had some demanding system requirements. As I waited for the disc to install, I skimmed through the instructions. It was an adventure game, a sort of Dungeons & Dragons meets Lord of the Rings type thing. Okay, Not to be like that guy, but Dungeons and Dragons is like pretty directly a Lord of the Rings ripoff already. So, anyway. He played online, creating a character to fight monsters and win treasure. I'd watched Dad play for hours. He was totally addicted, and it always looked like such fun. I was thrilled to finally have a chance to become a gamer girl myself. There it is. Not to mention, it would be great to get some quality alone time with Dad, something that rarely happened even during our weekend visits, mostly because Emily was endlessly demanding something to steal Dad's attention away from me. My computer chirped at me, confirming the game had been loaded and was ready to play. There's no way that game installed in 10 minutes. I clicked on the desktop icon and logged on. The program launched and stopped at a player selection screen, prompting me to design my new character. There were lots of different looking types to choose from. Some were human, while others were random species. Elves, halflings, orcs, even undead creatures. I decided to go with a female elf, giving her long blonde hair and sparkling blue eyes. She had a pouty red mouth, big breasts, and a skinny waist. Sure thing. You definitely could tell those with those, based on this time period, like early 2000s graphics. Also, just, I guess, about as different as you could get from black-haired, brown-eyed, flat-chested real-life me, which was exactly what I was looking for, actually. This way, I could prance around the virtual world with ease, masked as an ethereal goddess, ethereal goddess, and no one online would have any clue when an ugly duckling hid behind the flawless elfin face. Now, if only I could send my character to school. All the boys would go wild over me. That would sure show the haters, but that's with a capital H, and then in parentheses, as I now like to call them. No, school had not gotten any better, in case you were wondering. My third week in Hannah Dustin was just as sucky as my first. I had yet to make a single friend, and each and every day the haters would go out of their way to make my life hell. You should have stuck your middle finger up at those preps. My only consolation was all the inspiration it was giving me for my art. Hey, do you remember when, like, last year or whatever, that one author, like, came out as the author of My Immortal, and then it turned out she was both not native or the author? That was crazy, huh? My only consolation was all the inspiration it was giving me for my art, which had become full of the best comebacks and revenges on Billy. On paper, I was the most popular girl in school. I turned back to the game, not wanting to think about school. It was time to give my alter ego elf goddess a job. I studied the choices presented. She could be a brave, fearless knight, a holy, healing priest, or a wise and all-powerful magician. Wow, pretty limited class options for this game, especially one that has, like, 6 races or something? I glanced at the elf. She was so skinny, I wasn't sure about her wielding some huge sword. Yeah, this doesn't even have a ranger class or a rogue class. This game sucks, man. And only one caster class, too. That's, I mean, I guess a priest is technically caster class. I don't know. Just doesn't seem like a good game. And she was certainly too sexy to be a priest. That left magician. Having made all my selections, I had to pick a name. I wanted something cooler than simply Maddie, which always sounded more like an anger management problem than some name to me. Finally, after some thought, I chose Allura, which was beautiful and exotic and fit my elf perfectly. After a dramatic introduction with sword clashing and spellcasting and rather thrilling music, the game cut to a cartoon scene of Allura standing in a small, colorful elfin village. She was dressed in a low-cut red robe and carrying a big stick. She looked up at me and smiled, giving me a sly wink as if she knew I was there, watching, ready to take control of her destiny. Kind of weird, actually, but at the same time, pretty cool. I used the mouse and keyboard as the instructions stated to run Allura around the village. There were thatched-roofed huts, grassy paths, and droopy weeping willow trees with cartoon faces carved into their trunks. I bumped into several other characters dressed in medieval-style gear, also wandering about. A man in a beige tunic winked at me. A woman in chainmail waved hello. I stopped, realizing that all of the characters on screen were being controlled by real-life people, logged on from their own computers in their own homes. I watched in amazement for a moment as the various elves, halflings, and humans bustled about town, going about their business, as if this were their everyday existence. Who were these people? Where did they come from? And what possessed them to take on a character and play this game? Were they bored? Lonely? Did they seek adventure? New friends? Or were they just trying to escape real life for a few hours? The whole concept was so cool. Being part of an online community where people mingled and made friends with those they'd never met in real life. In the game, no one had any clue who I was, and they didn't care either. I wasn't a loser who hadn't made a single friend at her new school. I was a beautiful elfin princess who was studying to be a mage. And no one had any idea I once spent a whole day wearing frolicking unicorns on my chest. Thank God. I smiled. So cool. I couldn't wait to thank Dad for getting me the game. In fact, maybe he was online right now. I scanned his letter to find his character's name. Rockstar Bob. Okay then. Not the name I would have picked for a medieval fantasy character, but whatever. I followed the instructions and typed him a message using the game's instant messaging feature. Then it's kind of like a AIM text thing, so it says like, Alora, hey Dad, I got the game. Rockstar Bob, hey kiddo, I'm glad. How do you like it so far? Alora, well, I just logged on, so I haven't really done much exploring. Rockstar Bob, ah. Alora, do you want to come meet me, I guess? Rockstar Bob, Rockstar Bob, hang on a sec, hon. Rockstar Bob, KK back. I didn't realize you'd be online now, so I started playing with some friends. We're in this big dungeon right in the middle of fighting some monsters. And he's typing this while in the middle of a raid? That's pretty... Oh, there's my pizza. Hang on. Hello? Hello? Yeah, I'll be right there. Thank you. Hell yes. Got some chicken wings too. So I will be eating this as I finish this chapter. Sorry, y'all. Ooh, that's hot. So he's in the middle of a raid. Big dungeon right in the middle fighting some monsters. Alora. Oh, okay. Can I come with you? Rockstar Bob. Heh. No, sweetie. You're too low a level. You'd never make it alive. All right, Dad. Alora. Oh. Rockstar Bob. Why don't you play by yourself for a bit and level up? Then later in the week, we can play together. I can meet you after school on Thursday around 5. Just go to the Elf Tree Cafe, okay? I'll meet you there. Alora. Okay, cool. Sounds good. See you then. Thanks for the game. Rockstar Bob. You're welcome, kiddo. I think you're going to love it. I'm like literally crying. I know that was so good. I can like feel tears in my eyes from the joy I just experienced. Maddie, cake time! My mother called. Reluctantly, I logged off the game and trudged downstairs. I guess it was too much to expect my dad would just be sitting around waiting for me to log on. After all, how would he know when we were celebrating my birthday? Not like Mom sent him an evite. And he did say he'd meet me Thursday. That'd be cool. At the very least, it would give me something to look forward to when trying to survive another week of high school. Alright, that's the chapter. I'm gonna go eat this fucking food. Peace!